It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level when we shut down to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. The You Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. You Like.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. We are getting rocking and rolling on a Tuesday. Scotty Swingler has got me dying this morning. We're talking about our friend Matt Mosley, and I miss Mose. We got to have him back on the show. I'm sure, by the way, you can check it out on the Rogue Media Network. I'm sure it was a blockbuster episode last night. He and Ed Werder do the Doomsday podcast, which gets a lot of run here on Rogue Media, and I'm interested to see what Mosley and Ed Werder had to say about that Cowboys loss last night. It was a huge kick in the family jewels for the family, the Jones family, I'm sure. It was just optics were awful, from afar. I thought, a 3-point spread. I was all over the Cowboys on that. I figured a home game on Monday Night Football, this offense, you really can't slow them down. And then they didn't score. What did they score? 17 points, and 7 of them were a block punt. So that's real good on our buddy Steve Berline, who, when he was with us yesterday, flat out told us, hey, this is going to be a better game than people are anticipating. This is going to be something where, the Cowboys could lose. And they did, which I was shocked. What do they say? That one term, I was gobsmacked that I couldn't believe it. We were at the Baylor game. I was filling in for J-Mo on radio. So that's great. It was a great opportunity for me to, first of all, the horses that Baylor has, they can score in bunches, right? In bunches. And it's going to be a fun brand of basketball to watch. It really is. I can pretty much guarantee that. And they were down 9-0. Then they got down 14 in the first half to UTRGV. Now remember, there were there's no returning players, not one on the roster. But that's I mentioned this. I was working with Pat Nunley last night, and I mentioned to him on the air, I said, I think we all take this kind of personal now in college sports. Like, we're like, our team, can you believe it? Our team didn't return anybody. But really, when you look around the country, everybody's saying that. It's almost like, you think like your family is the only one with complete and total chaos and drama, when it's like, no. Like, that family has it, that family has it, that family has it. Most of the time, you don't even care to look because you're so consumed with your family. And I think that college basketball fans, particularly the sport of basketball, are really confused. I think, again, we'll give Hall of Famer Pat Nunley a little more credit. He told me a statistic that of the projected starters either in the Power 4 or Division I, out of 100%, right? 75 to 80% of them are playing at a brand new school this year, which is that's just insane, but it is what it is. So Baylor has 2 dudes, right, who I believe, and Scotty mentioned it because Scotty was at the game last night because he's just like a diehard fan, which is awesome. So Scotty was there. I even texted Scotty during the game, like, what are your early impressions? And he was aligned with me. Cameron Carr is amazing. The guy is like a natural born scorer. He had 28 points, the most scored by a Baylor freshman since Jacoby Walter, most scored in a debut. Jacoby, remember, had 28 in that game against South Dakota in 2023 when they beat Auburn. And when you look at Cam Carr, he's played 18 games over the course of the past 2 years. And over the course of those 18 games, he really didn't do anything because he had limited opportunities. He was hurt most of the time. And he was on really good Tennessee teams. So he was just limited as far as what we saw. And the more we have seen from him, the more we saw last night, the dude's a stud. We talk about that game in South Dakota. That's my first game is next Monday, South Dakota, Mississippi State for ESPN at that place called the Pentagon. And I was told, just to take a jacket, dude. It's going to be freezing cold. But I heard the place, it's almost kind of like Hoosiers almost. So I'm looking forward to it. But just looking around the Big 12 last night, Koa Pete in his first game, 30 points in Arizona's victory over Florida. Florida, obviously, wearing the belt this year. But there's a lot of interest. And then I watched AJ DeBonsa late at night. And although he didn't go off and have some amazing performance, he's really, you can tell, this is a guy who could just take a game over at any time. And the more and more he just gets comfortable playing. It was everybody's first game last night. And I saw it from a couple of the freshmen, just man, they're going through a lot. And it's just everybody's got their foot on the gas, ready to rock and roll. Is Michelle Beadle's here? We're ready to rock and roll with Michelle. Can we bring her in?
What's up?
Yo, Michelle, what is happening?
I have this new camera with a remote. So I'm okay, let me zoom out a little bit. Yeah.
Yo, that looks really good.
It's really fancy. I'm not used to it, but it's cool.
Is that where we do like, so when we're doing Run It Back, like, and you're not in the studio, that's
Correct.
the setup.
Yeah, so but I'm still in LA. Like in San Antonio, I have it set up, but I don't think my camera there is this nice. I'm like, this is a way cooler camera. They just set it up with lights and everything. So I'm like, oh, okay. I don't hate it.
So when you go to San Antonio, do you stay with family there or do you stay?
No, I bought a house there during COVID. So I just, I know a COVID home buyer. It's shocking. It's so weird. But yes, I did that. And I keep it because honestly, it's kind of nice to have like somewhere in the world you can just always go to. I dig that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And back home, back to your roots.
Exactly. I get my breakfast tacos on. I get my routine. It's nice.
Well, we're in Texas here, and of course we miss you. It's your 4th season on Run It Back, by the way. On FanDuel. And that's a show, by the way. You could tell, the chemistry is so right there. And you guys, it's a fun watch. The more and more you see Boogie Cousins on there, it's like you feel like it's a kind of like a family reunion almost. You really do.
You know what? I really appreciate that. As you know, like doing this little dumb industry that we've chosen, chemistry is the hardest part if it's not there. So when it is, I don't take that for granted. But Chandler is legitimately like the moronic brother. I have a brother, but he's not even as bad as Chandler. And Lou, I have grown to just love. My dad loves him. Like he's great. Boogie's such a cool addition because he's polarizing. Like it's weird. People either hate him or love him. And he's admitted it. He's got one of those faces where if you don't know him, you're like, oh, why are you so mad? He's not mad. He's just got that face. That's kind of awesome.
What do you guys collectively feel like? I guess I'm talking to you, so I'll ask you, what's the biggest story in the NBA this year? The most compelling story for you?
God, I hate to sound like such a homer, but the Wemby thing is big, right? I mean, they lost a game, so it took a little bit of that shine off. Things will even out, I suppose, but Wemby's a big story. Injuries, unfortunately, have started off kind of a weird stretch here at the top of the season. I think Luka's revenge tour, which I personally think will never end. That kind of a breakup is you just don't ever forget. So I think that will always be something fun to watch. It's Philly. I think Philly's a cool story because they're doing it with or without Joel. And I think that's something to keep your eye on. I mean, who doesn't love Tyrese Maxey? And I love a good quote unquote out of nowhere rookie story. I don't think he's out of nowhere in VJ Edgecombe. I just think so much attention was placed on Cooper Flagg that we completely forgot to look at anybody else. So that to me is, I like that story as well.
You're connected with people in San Antonio. How do they feel about like Wemby? Do they feel like a contender right now?
So my new goal in life, I did not realize that, sometimes when you live in a bubble like we do down in San Antonio, you assume that the whole world knew that after the 2014 season and another banner, that the race for Sace was an immediate, like we're all in, right? Like we know down in San Antonio, like hashtag race for Sace has been a decade old. I did not realize the rest of the world was not up to date on that. So every time I bring it up, they're like, what are you talking about? It's legitimate down there. And I think for first time, long time, Spurs fans are stoked again. And look, they don't go away. I mean, as a fan of that team, you don't really go away, but it's been a pretty long drought, at least by championship team standards. So yes, you see it in the crowd, getting there early. You see it in the jerseys. I'll tell you where I really see it is when they go on the road. There are quite a few Spurs fans in every arena right now. And that has not been the case for a minute. So that to me is a pretty telltale sign.
What's the one skill for Wemby, if you could add to his game right now, that you think he needs to kind of take himself to the next level?
I think the hardest thing for him, being that sort of a physical presence, is going to be to put on more and more muscle. I know he did. I know he's gotten stronger. We all are aware of sort of his offseason antics and everything he did and just how serious and intense it got. But he's going to have to figure out a way. Look, no one's going to be Giannis. That dude's been like chiseled out of marble. But the idea that you can put some of that kind of strength and muscle on, that you can bully people, man, if he could get that down, it's unstoppable.
Where are you guys at? Like when you build your show out, right?
Yeah.
Like you know that like a LeBron topic is probably going to move the needle. But like right now, the dude's never irrelevant, but he's not playing. He's got back issues because as I'm learning, old people have back issues. Like that's what sciatica means. It means your back hurts. My mom struggles with sciatica all the time. So do I. But like, What do you think is next for LeBron? Like, legitimately, like, is this his last season? Will next year be his last year? What does the future hold? Where does he retire? Like, any of your top of the mind thoughts on this?
God, I don't think this is his last. I think if we've learned anything about LeBron, like he really, and I'm not even trying to be snarky about this, but like the dude craves the attention, right? Like I don't think that he's going to Tim Duncan his way at the end of a season and just go off quietly into the sunset. No chance, no way. So we will know when his last season is upon us. There will be announcements, but I do think this will be interesting when he returns. I don't know that we've ever even had the opportunity to have the old generic conversation of how does so-and-so fit in when he comes back into the game. We've never had that discussion about LeBron James. He's always been there. So all of a sudden we're having that, like, okay, well, when he comes back, is Austin Reeves now the number 3? That's a crazy conversation that's actually being had right now. So look, it's LeBron James, and it's not like last season were throwaway numbers. He was very much a very relevant part of that league and producing. So I think it'll be exciting when he comes back. When he comes back, though, I don't really know. As you know, as we all know who've suffered any kind of back issues, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Someday you think you feel great, you wake up tomorrow, you can't move. Like it's a tough thing when your body starts to do that. But I think what they're putting on the floor now, look, they won a game last night. Granted, it wasn't a big game, but all 3 guys, Austin Reeves, Luka, LeBron, nobody played, and they still won. I think having Luka on that team puts them in a pretty good position that when he does return, they're very much going to be in the hunt in what is a almost impossible Western Conference situation. So it's crazy that we're still having this conversation 21 years in. But
Michelle, what does that look like when LeBron comes back and he has to fit in? You know, that's going to be interesting because the dude's got a huge ego. Yeah. And I'll be so interested to see, can he just kind of mold right in there so we've got a team environment so he's putting the team first and not himself? It's going to be super interesting.
It's going to be. I think it will. Look, I don't like to watch Lakers game necessarily. Like if I can choose other ones, but you have to. I mean, you really, if you're going to do this for a living, you got to. I think Austin Reeves will naturally defer and sort of take a backseat. You know, you got guys like Jake LaRavia, who none of us knew. I think Anthony Edwards was totally in line and asking who the heck is that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's Luka's team first and foremost. And we saw a little bit of that play out last season. I think it's going to be fine. I think LeBron is a pretty great team player. And I think he wants another ring. I mean, that at the end of the day is sort of the whole point of all this. And I think he realizes that as well. The ego thing will be interesting. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because it's championship or bust, right? It's Los Angeles. It's the Lakers. They made possibly one of the biggest trades in sports history in the middle of the night. No big deal. And that was the whole point of it. So I think he's going to be fine. He's a pro. He's a pro's pro. Pains me to say it, Pete, but he's a pro's pro.
Well, honestly, you're a pro's pro, one of the best to legit ever do it when the light goes on. For real, when you wake up in the morning though, and you see that news about Chauncey and the gambling, and like, yeah, because I know like you're connected with him. I don't know how tight you guys are, but I know he's a great dude. Yeah. Like when you see that, what's your first impression knowing that you are part of this fabric that makes up the NBA and covers the league?
You know, I think all of us were a bit shocked. I had the pleasure of working with Chauncey for 3 awesome years, and Paul Pierce and Jalen Rose, and it was fantastic. I know Chauncey to be a good dude, and I think what bothered me the most, they did what they did. So whatever that ends up being, it's going to hash itself out. I think when you sort of got into the weeds of actually reading a lot of the actual words in these indictments, especially in Chauncey's case, it was such a, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but it was such a minimal amount in comparison to the $7.5 million that was being discussed. And the idea that they got perp walked and nobody else did, that didn't sit well with me. It's never going to sit well with me. I have my inclinations on why some of these shows are so much more bright when they when the government wants to put on a show, they have an interesting way of doing some things. And so this was one of those. I hated it. There were 34 dudes arrested and we saw 3. So I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. I'll be curious to see how it plays out. But it's derailed everyone's lives. Lessons will have to be learned for hopefully future humans moving forward. But yeah, I don't like anything. I don't like anything about how any of it went down. And I'm disappointed in Chauncey and being in that position in the first place, but more so how it was handled.
And it's super weird for us. Like I was at our like ESPN seminar for college basketball, and we're asking all the questions. And I said, hey, where are we at with, and I asked it much nicer than that, but I was like, hey, but where are we with point spreads as far as like talking about games, like, you know, on a network like that, like if it's a 25-point spread, I'm going to say heavy favorite, but like, are we moving in a direction where we're just going to start saying the number? You know, it's so interesting. And what do you think about that, covering this sport? Like, you know, you're on FanDuel, you're on a bunch of other stuff, but like, obviously, like, and we have gambling promotions here, but like, where is the right relationship for that stuff?
See, that's the thing, right? Is when you let the toothpaste out of the tube, it's real hard to go back. We're all either, like you said, I work for FanDuel. And if you don't work for one of the entities, you're being sponsored by one of the entities. I mean, ESPN has their own entire betting thing. So it is a very fine line that we have kind of made for ourselves that I'm not sure, because, you know, on the one hand, I think to myself, you know what, everybody's an adult, you know, live your life, just be responsible. But I realize how unrealistic that is to say out loud. And then when you get into the sort of the integrity of the leagues and the integrity of the sport, look, we're hypocritical. I mean, at the end of the day, it's hard as a league with a straight face to sit there and demand one thing or say one thing. And on the other hand, be like, okay, well, we took $1 gazillion from all of these different companies. I know this. I'm so glad I don't have to make these decisions, because I do think that we're really caught in a bizarre vortex right now. And you know, you can forbid players to do a lot of things, but we all know somebody's not going to listen. And that's definitely a chance and a gamble, no pun intended, that you're making with your entire career. And I could see why some of the 12th, 13th, 14th men on a bench, or, you know, looking at football or baseball, they don't have as much to lose monetarily in contracts. So it would probably be a little more tempting. I don't know. I think what's interesting, though, is that, you know, in the case of that Terry Rozier, and I will say this was a silver lining, if you wanted to find one, was the idea that the gambling book is who red flagged it. And I thought, okay, so maybe some of those implements that they've made, those instruments that they put in there to sort of self-govern, are actually beneficial. I was shocked by that. And I thought that was kind of an interesting part of that story. I don't know, man. You're not stopping gambling. This thing is way down the hill. I don't know.
Well, you know, like, especially like, think about when you were working with the Nets, like you're on the road with them, you're privy to all kinds of information. It was when I was doing PR with the Sixers. And now we didn't have the ability, because I was a straight knucklehead back then. I didn't have the ability to just go on my phone or text somebody, hey, put this bet in. It would have been a whole long chain of events, which I didn't even have the facilities
badly.
to put that together. Yeah. But now it's so easy. I mean, think of all the information you're exposed to when you're embedded in a team like that. Something is going to have to change, I think, but I guess we'll just have to see how it goes.
I know, I'm with you. It definitely feels like something has to change. I think all of us sort of feel that, but I think it's the question of how you do it it's virtually impossible. I mean, look, Pete, I think this every Super Bowl. I'm like, if I'm singing the national anthem at this, if I'm Chris Stapleton, and I know I'm going to go tell my friend to bet $5 million on the over of how long I sing the anthem for, because I'm going to go over. Like, I always think that, but at the same time, like, I'm also not I'm not a big gambler. I joke about it. Like, I play slots in Vegas and I think it's hilarious. But I don't really, like, I can't even use the apps because I'm in California. We don't have access. So there's a part of me, I think that's why I'm so lackadaisical about it. Cause I'm like, well, it doesn't really tempt me. So I don't care as much, but I realize that's not everybody. Some people are very tempted, and that's where you got to figure it out.
All right, I got one more question for you, topical, and then I just got some questions about you because I have you here.
Okay.
Beadle and Decker coming back. Unceremoniously left the airwaves in June. I was like, what the hell happened? Because
same.
Like, how did you guys find out about you were going to be off Sirius, and then how did you put a plan together to say, hey, this show, because you guys had a lot of loyal listeners and people were pissed when that happened.
I got a text the day before from one of the bosses, and it was just simply like, and then it turned into a phone call, and it was simply like, hey, we're going to make some changes to the afternoon lineup, but we really don't have information on who, what, or when, which I thought was weird, but I was like, okay. And the way that conversation was left, it was like, all right, we're just going to figure out another window for you guys, or, something like that. Because like you said, we actually had built a pretty decent listening base,
Yes.
which I thought was kind of cool because that channel is those guys that have been on that channel have been there forever, and their fan base is very loyal, and it's sort of it's an interesting demo. Like, it's not my normal demo necessarily. So I was like, okay. Fast forward to the next morning, and there's a Hollywood Reporter thing out that's like Stephen A. Smith is taking basically our window. I was livid, as one could imagine. My feelings for that person are not a secret. It really wasn't cool to not give us any kind of a heads up. We were told specifically, like, there would be no press about it, that nobody, and then this guy goes on like a tour and goes on Howard Stern and everything. So I'm just like,
I was listening to Stern in the morning. That's how I found out. I was like, whoa.
Samesies. But the best part I think about it, and I don't know if this was ignorance or just like, hey, I don't know, but we then went on the air for the next 2 days. I think it was like a Thursday, Friday, and I thought that was insane. I don't know if anybody's ever been fired before, but like at ESPN, for example, if you decide to leave, whether on your own or you get fired, you're pretty much escorted out immediately. Like, there's no kind of, it's very rare. They put us on the air for 2 more days. I'll say this, like, we could have gone scorched earth. We didn't have to. All we did was open up the phone lines, which we did anyways every single day, Monday through Friday. And the callers just sort of did their thing. And it was one of the most organic, beautiful roasts I've ever been a part of. And I feel very clean. Like, I feel like, I didn't make it dirty and messy. It was just sort of, that's how they felt. We treated it like therapy, and that was it. And as far as what we're doing now, like, I will say this about Cody Decker, man. Look, I got a day job, so I'm just like, all right, things are going to be fine. But Cody, like, this was something that we were building, and we had these intentions of, like, hopefully doing it for a really long time. He's come back out here to Santa Monica, where his mom lives, and has turned her outdoor, like, pool house situation into a legitimate studio, like, all on his own, built this thing out. We've got a producer in Shane Reardon out of Chicago. We've got his kid, Rocky Carnahan, who's like helping. Nobody's getting paid. None of us are making any money. But we loved the show and we believed in it so much that we're like, let's just try it. We'll put it on YouTube. We'll put it wherever we can. We'll do an hour a day and see what happens. And so, like, I've never been a part of something where you don't get paid like that, not since my intern days. But I'm proud of it. And so I just feel like, let's see what happens. Worst case, nothing. Best case, something. And that's kind of where we are.
I love it. All right, here's a couple, like, whatever. If you want to call it a speed round, it's kind of lame, but
love this.
All right, somebody hands you a blank calendar for 2026. What's the first thing you're doing to carve out time to do?
Dang, like on a vacation, you mean?
Yeah. Like, give me a couple things that you're carving out. Like, okay, like, forget about work. I need to do this, this, and this.
Okay, well, I'm going back to Croatia. It's travel. Honestly, it's going to be travel. That's the answer for that. Croatia is one of them because I loved it so much. But there's a long list of places I've never been that I need to hit up, like Japan and Iceland and places like that. So I'm just like, it's travel, 100% easy.
Okay. What's a moment for you where you had kind of a pointed, unpopular opinion at the time? No, hold on. That you look back on now and you're like, I'm very proud of that. Like, in retrospect, it has, again, another lame term, aged very well for you.
I've had a lot. I think I've had a lot of opinions that have not sat necessarily. You know what? I think it was the day on Get Up where I was just over the NFL and I just said, I'm like, I'm not watching. And I didn't watch it for 3 years, but in a lot of people's eyes, I thought I got blackballed because of that. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't believe I did. But I think that was one that, like, I think the NFL, while I enjoy watching it again, there are a lot of parts of it, especially in that window of, like, sort of the way women were being treated, whether it be via the players and how that was looked upon, Kaepernick, like, there were so many stories at the time that were just distasteful. I stand by that.
What's a hard moment for you that you had on air that you really learned from and you were like, wow, that made me better?
God. Well, I don't know if it made me better, but have you ever had, vocal or verbal mishaps are a big one because honestly, it's the brain, and you just, once it's out, it's out. I think those are pretty bad. This is so funny because it goes way back to my Nets days, and Lawrence Frank was the coach. And I remember they were on, like, pretty bad. They weren't great. It wasn't a good team. And I said something about a collapse. I used the word collapse. To this day, would you know, and it's been almost 20 years, I was reprimanded for using that particular word, collapse. And so now I find myself, like,
because you're working for the team.
Yeah, I was like, flinch. But obviously, we use it all the time in sports. And I don't work for a team anymore, so it's a thing. But I'll never forget that feeling of like, good Lord, I think I just said the worst word you could ever say, and it stuck with me for real.
That's how I got to meet you when you were with the Nets. I didn't put your name on the media list, so you would have to come ask me where you were sitting. And then I was like, I'll put you.
Rude.
And then I was like, yeah, okay. I'll say we put you next to Sussman. So we put you right at the scores table next to the bench. It was all good. All right, last question. Social media. What do we do? You're pretty good. Like if I'm calling a game and I'll check afterwards, like how did I do? Right? It was just stupid. And somebody will say like, if I get like, who the F is Pete Sousa? And that's all. I'm like, well, that's great. I did okay. You're super famous. You get a lot of interaction and you'll weigh in a lot. I'm like, wow, like you go right in there.
Yeah.
Where does that approach come from?
I don't do it like I used to. It used to affect me a lot more. I mean, God, Lee, I think in the days right at the height of Sports Nation, I think probably bothered me the most because you can get 100 positive. This, you can get 100 positive comments, but the one negative one's the one that kills you. You're like, I will never. I'm going to fight this person. I think now if I engage, it's honestly like I'm either bored or I have time, like I'm waiting for something, an appointment or whatever. And it's all fun and good, right? Because at the end of the day, I think we've all learned none of the bad things that were said 10 years ago affected me. So it's pointless. Like I kind of like the way Durant does it. Like I love
he's awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic. Because at the end of it all, who's going to say something about Kevin Durant legitimately as if he's some sort of loser in life? We all know he's not a loser in life. He won life. And so when he engages, you're like, he's just bored and having fun, and he admits it. And so, yeah, it can never actually get you down. I think that I'm also too old now. I mean, look at this age. If something a stranger says bothers me, I got bigger issues. So yeah, I think it's either you do it for fun, like a hobby, or don't do it at all.
Michelle, I still got bigger issues because it still bothers me. All right, Michelle Beadle, you're the best. Check her out, run it back. Beadle and Decker's coming back. Seriously, you're the best at what you do. Thank you so much for taking time. I know how busy you are.
No, thanks, man. I'm glad we made this work.
Yeah, you got it. Take it easy, Beats. Michelle Beadle, legit one of the best to ever do it. And I always say this, is more sourced up than she lets on, which is super cool because it speaks to her humility. Just a bright light in an industry that can get dark once in a while. We are presented by Slovacek, and we're going to be bright when we come back after this quick break. We actually may not be bright because we got to talk about the Cowboys. And they sucked last night. We'll step aside and be right back on the Pete Sousa Show.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
What if you could clean with bio-based formulas and deep cleaning enzymes? No dyes, phthalates, or mystery ingredients. Just powerful pods for your dishes and laundry. Now you can, with drops made clean, made to clean.
Welcome to Kit Bag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, for true football passion, think Kit Bag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's kitbag.com. Kit Bag.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite. At Tusane's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Visit Tusanes.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your taste. Mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com.
Better sleep, inspired by nature. Your back, hips, and shoulders will fall into perfect alignment in any position, meaning that you get deeper, more comfortable rest. Visit ecoterrabeds.com.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Welcome to Market XLS, your all-in-one Excel solution for investors. Designed as an enterprise-grade platform, Market XLS caters to investment managers, secure and efficient investment management and research. Book your free demo.
Everybody at Equalife really has a passion and a real interest in helping people feel well. How much further can we go to get you feeling even better? It is a complete partnership between the two of us.
So all you have to do is tap your Popple to the back of someone's phone, like that, and they instantly get your social media and contact info right on the screen. They don't need an app or a Popple to receive your info. So get your Popple today and start impressing everyone you meet. Make it pop.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
Stability. Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code SOUSA to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code SOUSA. That's SOUSA. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
Oh, hello. It's Scotty. Pete Sousa Show. We're here. I'm here. And here to talk about Underdog. I shouldn't have done it, y'all. I know there's some Baylor folks watching. I had Rob Wright as part of my Underdog picks last night. And I'll have you know, both of my Monday Night Football selections were correct. But I didn't do the flex pick. That's my bad. And Rob Wright only had one assist. That's his bad. What is he doing? Not facilitating for his guys. Typical selfish kid. Anyway, let's not get too far into it. Here are my picks for tonight. We got a little basketball ticket here. If you want to play Underdog with me, this is what I'm picking. Franz Wagner, higher than 31.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. By the way, you know that is my favorite way to make basketball kit picks on Underdog is when they let you combo points, rebounds, assists, because there's lots of ways guys can get there. So, also, VJ Edgecombe on fire. It's not a fluke. He is the favorite for Rookie of the Year, higher than 25.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. And then the big debut for Duke tonight, Cameron Boozer. I got him with higher than 10.5 rebounds as he opens up his Duke career. I think that's going to be an easy mark for him to reach. And I learned my lesson last night, Pete. Had I done the flex picks, I wouldn't have lost my money.
So that's the thing.
So tonight I did the flex picks. So if I get 2 of these 3, I win money. If I get all 3, I win more money.
VJ is always a good look, man.
There you go. So remember, go to Underdog, use that promo code Sousa, SOUSA. They will give you $50 of bonus cash when you put in $5. Great way to keep up with sports, have a little fun, maybe win some money.
We should probably take a second just to react to the Michelle Beadle interview. I mean,
Do it, man.
She's one of our all-time favorites.
Yep.
Bill Simmons said it best, I think, once upon a time. He was like, I've never seen a red light go on and somebody just be so perfect on camera. And like the way she comports herself, like early in her career, right? Just being herself on camera.
Wildly talented.
Yes, just one of the all-time best. And has a lot of opinions, but like has an amazing attitude too. Like to come on this show and to be so, just happy and bright is very cool.
And by the way, I don't want to overblow this, nor do I want anyone to think I'm making any statement other than what I'm saying. Because people take things and spin them the wrong direction, right? Bottom line, that woman is a trailblazer in every sense of the word for women in sports media in the best way possible. Yes. And the opinion piece to me is the most important way, right? Because for lots of time, men can get on ESPN and spout their opinions. You and I get on this show and spout BS all the time, what we think, what we feel, right?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I think all networks, not just ESPN, but sports, if there was a woman there, she was moderating or hosting or being the pretty sideline reporter while men got to spout their opinions. And so like, let's just give her credit. Like early in her career to get on networks like ESPN, to get in front of a camera, be so personable and great and talented, but also unafraid to say, no, I'm not watching the NFL.
That was insane.
Like for her to be
like the reaction was insane.
But for her to do that, we're slowly seeing more and more women being able to be put in those positions. I told you over the weekend about like Nina Kimes talking about how to beat quarters
and everybody
coverage,
starts freaking out
and people beat her up. And then it turns out like she was exactly right. So we're still doing this work, but Michelle Beadle, like true hero, trailblazer, super talent in the space. So,
and somebody like Beadle, and you can even say Nina Kimes, because we're talking about females, like it's no different from any dude. And Stephen A. Smith, who Michelle doesn't like, she hinted at that, but he's done a pretty good job of being transparent with like, look, a lot of the stuff I know is because of the access I have to the players I work with. You know what I mean? Like, so, and it's very true. Colin Cowherd has said that too.
Yes.
Like, and that comes with working at ESPN. Like you pull up to the urinal and Teddy Bruschi is 2 stalls over. You know what I mean? You just have that access to the knowledge. So once you get somebody like a Michelle Beadle, right? Like in a space like that, where not only is she able to rely on her talents, but like she's going to learn so much now from being around these players. Like it's quite the double threat, and you can feel it when you're listening. And that's why I know she has more information than she shares too. She's pretty good about that. Like she knows people at the Spurs. She knows people all over the league. Like she knows way more about that gambling thing than she would ever tell us.
Absolutely.
Which is fine, which is like,
and that's the thing, right? There's still a difference. And you and I talk about this. I feel like every month, probably we kind of draw this line and say, there's a difference between hot take artists and people who are actually informed.
Yeah.
And even if and Beadle and Stephen A. and others all do this, if they say something that feels really out of left field, kind of hot takey, there are certain people who are just spewing BS. And then there's certain people who have some information and turn out to be right more than they're wrong.
What about Troy Aikman last night? And I can take it from here, but you may want to chime in on this. Did you see his one quote like during the game?
No, I was locked into Baylor basketball last night.
We'll talk about that in a second. So Joe Buck was basically like, the Cowboys, Jerry Jones hinted today about making a trade, and that trade will become official in the morning. Yeah, and then Troy Aikman, who has just been on a freaking heater for the last 3 years, was like, in the most deadpan Troy Aikman way, was like, yeah, he may want to cancel it. I don't see one guy that could turn this thing around or make it any better. Well, this morning, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and thank God he says it because he's right.
Oh yeah. No, he's not saying it to be, hot take.
No, he's right.
Yeah. He has accurate thoughts swirling in his brain. He's like, I'm just going to share this. And the trade was for Logan Wilson.
Yep.
Right. He's an inside linebacker for the Bengals. I know he's he's a really good defender. I mean, maybe he's a great addition to your team.
No, this is the definition.
He's got like 11 picks over the last like 4 years or something.
The guy can play, but the story I read this morning said he requested a trade out of Cincinnati because he's not getting minutes.
Oh, really?
Yes, he's not getting snaps. And so, like, he's according, and coaches can be wrong, and I'm not saying he's a bad player.
Yeah.
And Lord knows he's probably better than any of the linebackers healthy for the Cowboys right now.
Yeah.
But, geez, he's getting out of Cincinnati because he's disappointed in how many snaps he's getting. And he's going to immediately, with Overshown still coming back from injury, be the best linebacker on the Cowboys because they're so bad. And all of this is a result of the freaking Micah Parsons thing.
Yeah.
And it feels like Jerry is grasping for straws, and I'll be interested to see Mosley's take on this later today too.
Yeah.
Grasping for straws to say, look, I made the right move by trading away Micah. Let me go get these other pieces. And it's like you're getting bad. Like Logan Wilson's not a bad piece. You're getting Logan Wilson, Micah Parsons. There's a discrepancy there. You're not making up for trading away one of the best pass rushers in the NFL.
Yeah. No, even if you brought Trey Hendrickson in, it's not a guy who can completely change the face of your organization right now.
Right.
And so the Cowboys, that loss last night drops them to 9% chance.
They're 3-5.
Yeah. As far as making the playoffs is concerned, and whatever machine that percentage was pumped out of, it's probably much better than my brain. But and you've talked about it. Their upcoming schedule is rough, dude. Like, it doesn't get any easier for the Cowboys. You're right down the line from Thanksgiving, where you're going to be playing let's just look at their upcoming schedule. Okay.
Yeah.
They got the Raiders. That should be a win.
Yes.
But then you got Philly. That's a home game. Maybe I'll try to go to that. And then you have Kansas City at home. So those are 2 losses.
Yep.
Lions, loss.
Yep.
Minnesota, maybe a loss. Chargers, maybe a loss. Then Commanders and Giants. So maybe you can tack on 2 wins at the end of the season. But yeah, man, it's not looking good.
I mean, there's not a lot of wins, and not a lot of obvious wins left on that schedule. And by the way, we said that in the preseason when we thought they might be like a 500, slightly above 500 team. We're like, man,
they're going to finish at 7-10.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And you compared them to Baylor.
Yeah, and you pointed out the difference is I thought Baylor had a roster that could be at the top of the Big 12. I've never bought into this Cowboys team, especially with the Micah drama going on and then trading him out.
Yeah.
But they are the same in that if your offense is going to occasionally just pop off because you've got so much talent, and you're going to be able to outscore anybody on a random Sunday. If you're Dallas, if you're Baylor on a random Saturday, you've got enough talent on offense. Dak and George Pickens and CD Lamb and Javonte Williams, like that core is going to put up points.
Yeah.
But if they don't, like last night, they struggled. They're hosed because their defense can't stop a breath out of someone's mouth, let alone a competent football player, let alone a backup quarterback. They love losing to backup quarterbacks this season. So.
All right, look, and we're gonna transition on to Baylor and Big 12 hoops. You might as well stay here because you were at the game as well.
Yeah.
Baylor basketball. What do you give? And I know you got. Well, I'll tease it for you because I'm such a team player.
Yeah.
You're going to give a report card on Mosley's show later.
I am.
On.
If you're a Baylor fan, tune in to Matt Mosley show today at 1:00 right here on YouTube. I'll do a report card for all the players.
Mosley's the man, member of the Rogue Media family. Also, check out the Doomsday podcast if you want more on that.
Mosley was at the Cowboys game. I was at the Baylor game. So we're gonna.
That's
cover
pretty
the
good combo.
There you go.
So your grade for the overall team?
C+.
Yeah.
It was a really, really discouraging effort on defense. And listen, college basketball teams always don't look sharp their first game. There's always kind of this is a unit. This is a team that is not all played together. Even when they were in Europe over the summer, you had Michael Ratai playing for Germany and Tunde Yesufu obviously wasn't playing for Team USA.
Yeah.
So this is a team that I think I anticipate will drastically improve over the next 2 months before conference play. But they really got to figure it out on defense. I mean, and it really didn't look like we don't have guys that can defend, because I think they've got guys that can defend.
Yeah.
Especially on the ball. And they forced some turnovers and transition, but like just looked lost, man. Like they looked like they didn't know what they were doing half the time, especially in that first half. And I'll give Rio Grande Valley credit. They shot 49% from three. Is that right?
Well, no, but they shot 49% from the field, but they were like 42% from three.
I was gonna say they were over 40% though from three too.
Yeah.
So like they were shooting the
And
ball
they
lights
shoot a
out.
shitload of threes. Crap load.
You know, so credit.
Chris doesn't want to get crap.
Little Michelle Beadle moment there. You know, so great, great potential, but definitely some. And by the way, Scott Drew said all the things I just said with you on the post game show of like, hey, we got to play defense. Like that was rough. Like, you know, they're aware.
You cannot play. You cannot play D.
If I want to give Scott Drew credit for something, it is he is very adaptable on defense. Every one of his great Baylor teams has done something a little different on defense. He's done a 1-3-1. He's done a 2-3. He's done man. He's done box and one. I've seen all of these defensive alignments from him, depending on his personnel, depending on the opponent, depending on the season.
Yeah.
So they will find a way to be minimally competent, if not good, on defense. I will tell you the one thing that worries me about this team's ability to reach its ceiling. They really need Jeslyn Bodo to be healthy. I think that team, they started what was essentially a guard and four wings. And then Caden Powell would occasionally come in and play as a smaller center.
Yeah.
They really, I mean, they missed it last year when Ojanua got hurt. They really, Scott Drew teams thrive, whether it's Freddie Gillespie, or if you want to go way back to like when I fell in love with Baylor basketball, Josh Lomers and Mamadou Gian, like they thrive when you've got a 7-foot guy taking up space in front of the rim, because then, you know, they can play that aggressive on-ball defense because they got the guy in the back end. They don't have that guy right now. And Jeslyn Bodo, when you brought him in from Stony Point, he's not coming in to be a scorer. He's coming in to be a rebounder and a shot blocker. And, you know, his health is in question. They don't know if they'll get him back this year or not. This team,
it's crazy, dude.
This team, I'm probably overreacting to game one.
Yeah, but
I think this team
we're fans.
I think this team could win a Big 12 title if he's present.
Yeah, they
can, and I don't think they can if he's not.
If you can score 95 points, you can play. You have clearly you can play defense. Like you have it in you. You know what I'm saying? Like they've got the guys. They have the athleticism. Like Tunde is like a nightmare. By the way, you want to hear fake news? Like I'm excited about Tunde. Don't get me wrong, but this is on the Sporting News site. Anthony Edwards' doppelganger.
Yeah, everyone thinks
just
he's
like
Anthony
the
Edwards.
Timberwolves star in Baylor debut. Like what, dude?
No, he didn't.
Like okay, no, he didn't. Like I watched the game.
Yeah.
I called the game. Like he looked great at times. That headline sucks.
Yeah,
and
it's a clickbait.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. After the game, and Scotty, you were gone. Scotty stayed till the end of the game. But after the game, you know, we do a post-game show. So we talked to Coach Drew, and then we talked to Obi Agbam, who was like amazing, right? Just such a great dude.
He played great.
Yeah, he played awesome. When they were on the ropes early, they were down 14 in the first half. Him and Cam Carr just kept making big shot after big shot. Cam Carr. Now, if you want to read a headline or overblow somebody this morning, Cam Carr is your guy.
Yeah.
Right? There you go, Liz. That was a little wordplay for you by accident. Okay. But Cam Carr was your guy. Like the thing about Tunde, and here's what I loved. Okay. He showed glimpses of obviously the reason why, you know, Paul Biancardi comes on this show and is sky high about him, almost as excited as he was about AJ DeBonsa. But after the game, you know, Tunde missed his first 6 shots. So after the game, there's nobody left in the gym. And I actually put this up. I never do this because I'm not any kind of insider, but I was there. It was interesting. So I videoed it and put it up on Twitter. Dude, he's in full uniform, probably 45 minutes. I left and he was still shooting, like back out on the floor, which I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like we got one of those guys, which is like, I'm telling you, they don't make every guy like that. That was a big misnomer when Adam Morrison came to Charlotte as the 3rd pick of the draft and was like, everybody was so excited. You couldn't get the guy to take but 5 extra shots after practice. Like he just wasn't wired like that. That just, maybe he did a ton of lonely work before he got to the NBA. But I can remember like Bernie Bickerstaff trying to get JB, who is now the coach of the Pistons, to be, he would be like, JB, like keep JB Bickerstaff, keep Adam after. I want you to shoot with him after every practice. And JB's like, yeah, fine. It was like hurting a cat, dude. Like JB could never get him in there. He'd always have to call him out of the locker room. And Adam didn't shower most of the time. So he was gone. Like after practice, he was gone. And he was notorious for not showering, like to the point where, if they had a back-to-back, we would, if you're traveling as a PR guy, everybody showers after the game, then you take the bus to the plane and you fly to wherever you're going. Well, guys don't want to get on a bus with a dude who stinks, who just played 20 minutes and didn't shower. So Adam would like fake like he was going to shower. Sometimes he would walk in and walk out. And there were other guys like Gerald Wallace and Brevin Knight would be like, dude, get back in there. Like you have to shower.
This is gross, bro.
Yeah, dude, it was kind of a deal. He did not want to shower. He didn't want, I can't see. What does that say?
Michael Sousa, Adam Morrison sitting somewhere just minding his own business.
Oh, whatever, Mike. That's my brother, Mike. Mike is a big fan, and he's a huge Scotty fan, and it's an honor that he would be watching our show right now.
Hey, he's been commenting the whole time.
Oh, he has?
Yeah.
What a prick. What's he been saying?
And I'm scrolling back here.
I told him that Michelle Beadle was going to be on, so he's not watching because he gives a crap.
He said free.
Usually he'll
Chauncey at one point.
He'll
Beadle's a great guest.
Yeah, Beadle was a great guest, right?
By the way, Scotty B was breaking down this Baylor basketball game you're talking about.
What did Scotty B say?
Sorry,
Mike. There's your 15 minutes.
Needs to work on some issues, but it is game one with everyone new. Offense looked good. Defense needs more consistency. Very true. And then he points out, we haven't said this yet, Pete. Bears saying Baylor women's basketball got the best win in the country yesterday.
Yes.
Throwing down number 7 Duke in the country, in Paris, France, of all places.
Yeah. And let me tell you about that Baylor women's game, okay? The girl left such an impact. I forget her name, but I know who. Hold on.
Talia Scott.
Yep. Dude. Okay.
Talia Scott's the truth.
Whew.
Yeah.
I mean, so last year, and this is, you're going to think I'm knocking the guards from the team on last year, but I promise I'm not. They had the transfer from Kentucky that was from Richmond, who was really good. And then they had Sarah Andrews, who was like a big shot maker and who was like just a tough guard because she could shoot from anywhere. But at the end of the game, you just didn't feel like, okay, they have a guard or a player who you can give the ball to. Yes, now we're talking Baylor women's basketball. Give me a sec. Who you can give the ball to, and you're like, okay, I feel good about this. Like, clear out, get Talia Scott the basketball, and she's going to win or lose us the game. But at least we know where we're going every time. Like, that's awesome. And by the way, friend of the show, right? We'll get her back on here. Janet Van Geitenbeek is back, like 100%. Like, and she's one of those players. Like, she's an extension of the coach on the floor, right? Like, she was hurt all last year. She had the debilitating knee injury, like right around now, and their first game of their first scrimmage, missed all last season. And the year before, she was just kind of trying to crack the rotation, being a little younger. And now here she is, like one of the leaders of the team, playing shooting guard, and she doesn't need the ball that much. But she knows. One thing I noticed was when Scott went down late in the game, or maybe it was somebody else, but somebody goes down, and it looks like, you're in Paris. So I guess there's a lot of travel. It's hard to keep these players hydrated, especially early in the season. But it looked like it might have been a bad injury. And Van Geitenbeek just looks at the bench and goes, pickle juice. And all the trainers like back off because they know that it's a cramp and it's not a big deal. And like her assessment of the situation and quick communication to the bench and the training staff, I was like, that's a good look. It's a little thing, but that's a really good look for the team. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about more Big 12 basketball. 2 other freshmen had a debut last night. One against Villanova. I was extremely conflicted. I will tell you why, and I will also tell you what we thought of Koa Pete, because we think very highly of him after last night. The Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slovakia.
Scotty tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and organichemp.com.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. us.muc-off.com.
At 4U Health, we believe wellness and lab testing should be accessible, inclusive, and yes, fun. With our tech-powered at-home lab test, you save time and money while feeling your best. 4U Health. Visit 4uhealth.com today.
Stability.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show. We find ourselves coming down the stretch today. Let's talk about one of the best freshmen in the country. And I'm not talking about AJ DeBonsa yet, and I'm not talking about Tunde Yesufu anymore. I'm talking about Koa Pete right now. So there were signs last night that this guy is going to be an amazing player for the long term. And here's a couple of the reasons why. Watching the game last night, watched a little bit of it because it was on before ours and it was on before Villanova played BYU. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, right? 30 points. But what you didn't see was what he talked about before and after the game. What he talked about and also what Tommy Lloyd, Arizona's head coach, talked about. You know, Koa Pete didn't play in the McDonald's game. He didn't play in the Nike Hoop Summit. And he kind of played sparingly with the USA 19 and under team. He felt neglected, okay, which is how it was written. And it was written in a story with Hoops HQ, which I'm reading here in ESPN. He said before the game, I kind of feel like I've been forgotten. You know, like I'm just trying to remind people and show them what I'm about, okay? Like that's the kind of stuff that makes a great player elite because he's pissed off and he's doing the MJ where he's finding reasons, basically making up reasons, right, to motivate himself and to get pissed off and play. You have got to love that. The story about him as a dude, one of the best stories, if you haven't heard, over the summer, he's playing for this USA 19 and under team. And on Father's Day, they wrap up practice in Colorado Springs at USA Basketball's headquarters. And he says to the coaches, as everybody's dispersing, like, hey, can I say a quick word? And they're like, yeah, sure, of course. You're Coach Pete. Like, say whatever you want. And he goes on about, hey, I want to really thank the fathers that are here today. It's something that I appreciate. You know, you guys are with us. You're working on Father's Day. It's just 18, you know, and like going out of his way. And a lot of the coaches were super impressed with him as a person. And you continue to hear really good things about him as a person. 3-time Arizona Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year. And like, look, man, 30 points in a 93-87 win over defending champion Florida that's all you need to know. I mean, that is a dominant sign. On the other end, right, coming up after him in the second game in Vegas, that was the first one, was BYU and Villanova. And Villanova they had a great game plan. And Kevin Willard, who I don't love because I just feel like as a Villanova guy, right, I grew up on like Rolly Massimino and Jay Wright, and even Steve Lapis in between kind of got a bad rap because his body language sucked. But he was a great coach and a great guy, probably better guy than coach. And, you know, Rolly and Jay, between them, you've got 3 college basketball titles. With Jay, you had 2 in 3 years, which is just unbelievable. But they were, you know, for all of Raleigh's faults, he was still a basketball purist, you know. And Jay, I mean, you want to talk about a guy who won the right way. You look no further than him. I get a weird vibe from this Kevin Willard. And so I'm not quite like all in yet on him, to the point where last night I was watching BYU and Villanova play. And now from my perspective, this has never happened, right? Like, so it's BYU. Now I'm invested in the Big 12. In fact, the more that AJ DeBonsa plays well and BYU plays well, it actually like maybe affects me, right? Like in a couple different ways. You know, Villanova and some dude I don't know winning doesn't like my mom doesn't even care anymore about Kevin Willard. You know, like she doesn't know him. Like I feel like, you know, for my family and I, we used to be like very connected, dialed in. With Villanova, the staff, the people there. It's like, you know, there are certain people left, and my mom will probably get mad if she ever sees this, that I said she doesn't care about Kevin Willard, because she likes to get a bug up her ass about things I say on this show. But I can promise you, like, it's nothing personal. You know, like, I'm just not sold on him. So I found myself last night being like, well, BYU's going to win. Like, that's fine. And I was really impressed with AJ DeBonsa and his 21 points and his 6 rebounds. The one insight I'll give you about this young man is I talked about my interaction with him on Media Day. And he's a different breed, dude. Like he was the guy, if you remember the story, where I was being interviewed and they were like, hey, like, can we move you out of here? Like now? I was like, yeah, I guess. And they were like, and then they were like, we have AJ DeBonsa here. I'm like, dude, please, like, throw me out the door, you know? So they moved me on. They sat AJ down. And then I chatted with AJ for like a second or two afterwards. And he has this aura about him. Not that he's necessarily, I don't want to give the wrong impression like he's over it, but he's not. But he is very aware of all that's going on around him. A very bright kid. He was talking to the guys at TNT last night. By the way, I'm going to say this, and it doesn't matter. Jalen Rose looks ridiculous now. I don't know if you guys have seen him lately. He just like, the whole Jalen thing is interesting. He's at a point in his career where it's interesting. You can see for yourself because he'll be on all year long with TNT. He is a piece of work, another trailblazer and an absolute legend. But I'm like, what is Jalen? He's got like the, you know, they dye the beard and stuff. Like he really dyes his beard big time. Like I used to work with this guy, John Carroll, and John Carroll would dye his Fu Manchu. And if he didn't, you really could notice. Anyway, so Jalen's got that whole hair dye thing going. Just maybe a little overdone. It's up to you guys. Yeah, so he was talking to Jalen and those guys, and he says, hey, and I've never heard a player admit this, like on national television at least. He's like, I read all the stuff. I see all the rankings. I see all the articles. He's like, I am very aware of that. And, you know, it's just part of my life today and part of the world I live in. And, you know, so be it. Like, that's super interesting because, you know, we talked last year to Paul Biancardi about Cooper Flagg, and Paul was like, yo, Cooper he's off social media. He's off Instagram. Like, that can be toxic, right? Nick Saban, rat poison, would call it that. With AJ DeBonsa, like, he's like very aware, but to the point where he's not aloof, but he's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, you could tell, like, when I met him, he had like, and this is strictly dealing with the media. I think he is just like, yeah, whatever. And we're turning a page now to a lot of these young men and women, but specifically men's basketball, as we're talking about now. These guys are crowned like kings and princes before they even play a second of high school or college basketball. And I get it. I remember Damon Bailey in 8th grade, right, being in Sports Illustrated. They were talking about the best player, you know, in the country. He was the best 8th grader in America. It was like crazy. And, you know, there were little like snippets of that, right? But you still had to dig deep to find stuff about Damon Bailey. You know, you didn't have the resources or the ability to tap into his day-to-day life or his day-to-day, you know, circle. Now it's everywhere. And I think it's starting to, you know, we talked to Beadle earlier about like being insecure. You know, she's super famous. Like, how do you approach that when people are talking about you on social media? I don't know if, but like there's clearly social media can be really bad. And media in general, when they're taking negative slants and creating narratives that are, you know, say Tunde Yesufu is Anthony Edwards, which is like, that's almost could be seen as negative, right? Keeping that on a young guy like that. But it is what it is at this point. And these guys, these players are becoming calloused to it, I think, a little bit. And I think like, because you see it, like you talk to people with kids that are teenagers, and it's like, dude, it is a jungle out there with this crap, this social media, and everybody's doing one thing, but now you're over here doing your own thing, and that can screw with the kid's head. Like, and who's to say that didn't happen to AJ DeBonsa when he was 12, you know, before he evolved into this basketball unicorn at 17. So like, these guys are familiar with this game and this charade. And I'm wondering if it's something that now they're sort of like, okay, like this is what it is. And, you know, I don't care, but I'm still consuming it all, which I was very surprised to hear him make that admission. But the one thing I was proud of as somebody who works for the Big 12 and will be hosting or taping another episode of Inside the 12 tomorrow morning, which airs in Big 12 markets all over the country. You can see it on YouTube TV and HBO Max. Like, it's great for the Big 12, dude. You got 30 points at a Coa-Pete and a victory over defending champion Florida. You had AJ DeBonsa on TNT with Brian Anderson and Grant Hill calling the game late night. And AJ DeBonsa is going off. By the way, Anderson and Grant Hill called the game before that, where Coa-Pete had 30 points. And Brian Anderson was like, wow, the Big 12, like under the bright lights, like really delivering. And I found that to be super exciting. And I actually thought about this because, you know, part of our audience, like my brother's checking it out, and throughout the rest of the day, a lot of people I know from my neck of the woods, right? Whether it's the Northeast, like Philly, or like Virginia, around where I went to school, or Charlotte, where I used to live. Like, it kind of means a lot to me that people know how good the Big 12 is. And it's basketball season now. I mean, we're still in football season. Like, that football is always going to, you know, it's a sport of kings, dude. They used to say boxing was. It's football now. And it's always going to take the lion's share of attention. But basketball is back, and like the Big 12 dominates. And it's super encouraging to see young guys take advantage of their moments early on. And I don't think it creates like a false narrative like, oh, these guys are better than they are. No, these guys are just delivering. Like Koa Pete and AJ DeBonsa is only going to get better. And they played against very good opponents last night. That's the only concerning thing about, well, one of the concerning things. Scotty mentioned the defense, but, you know, Baylor last night, they were down by 14 in the first half to UTRGV. Now, Scotty mentioned it, and I believe it, and Pat Nunley feels the same way, the Baylor Hall of Famer. You know, this is a really good team. They could compete for a Big 12 title, but they've got to get that connective tissue going as far as defense is concerned. They have absolutely got to get Bodo back healthy, because, you know, what will suck for Baylor fans this year is if it's, you know, same song, different verse. We're thin underneath. Like Norshad Omier last year, if he got into foul trouble, it was over, right? Like, so Sunday night will be a fun night, I think, for fans that follow Baylor basketball in the Big 12. I was texting with Coach Fraschilla yesterday. I wanted to send him the video of Tunde Yesufu being there late, because I knew he'd be pumped about that, because that's something he could talk about Sunday, because he's calling the game Baylor-Washington Sunday night, 7:30. It's going to be a home game, and that'll be it's go time then. I think we'll learn a lot about this team. And look, man, you really can't, you know, Scotty's going to have fun. He's grading the team on Mosley's show later in the day. I think that's awesome. But at the same time, it's really hard to actually assess, you know, these basketball teams and where they're headed early. But it is super exciting. Scotty, anything on the freshmen? Anything like, you know, that strikes you being a Big 12 guy before we get out of here?
This is going to be the best league in the country to watch, man. And freshmen have a lot to do with it. You didn't even mention Darren Peterson looked great for Kansas as well.
I mean, come on.
I mean, so
how did he do last night?
He looked great. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I've
looked great.
I've seen a lot of hype on Twitter. Let's look real quick just to be thorough here.
He looked great. Yeah. You know, we're a sports show where we kind of like people, you know, look great is like for the water cooler, Scotty.
Well,
all right.
Hold the heck on.
You like that, Liz? Liz likes when somebody gets in Scotty's kitchen, because
21 points in 22 minutes.
Really? Okay.
Green Bay coach Doug Gottlieb.
Oh boy. What did he say?
Said that was literally the easiest 21 points in 21 minutes of action.
How did Gottlieb? They had a rough one last year.
Dude, I'm surprised he's still coaching at Green Bay.
You are?
Yeah. They were so bad last year, and he was getting raked.
And he's still doing a radio show.
It's so crazy. Anyway, yeah, man, the Big 12 is stacked, and Koa Pete's a guy a lot of Baylor fans are familiar with, because he kind of who knows what a recruit's actual kind of second choice was, but Baylor was
right there with Arizona State,
one of his top three that he didn't end up committing to, and then you know, so a lot of talent, man. It's gonna be fascinating to watch. Not to mention, I mean, the guys that came back, like JT Toppin at Texas Tech. Like, this league is just. You know, in football, we talk about how deep the Big 12 is, and anybody can beat anybody, but you're not watching the best players in America. There are a couple, right? But you're not every week watching the best players in America play. Whereas with basketball, it is the best conference in America and the deepest conference in America. And you're going to have, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if like a third of the lottery are these Big 12 guys you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Pete, DeBonsa, Yesufu, Peterson. I mean, there's a quarter of the lottery next.
Cam Carr.
Maybe. There's 5 out of the 16 lottery picks right there. Right.
Can you do us one favor before we go off the air?
Of course.
I want you to give us a sneak peek. I want to hear your Cam Carr grade. Just give me your what grade did you give Cam Carr? Because he's doing this on the Mosley show later on today, guys.
I have a full report card from the Mosley show.
Okay.
Cam Carr received the only A+. Man. He was the best player defensively. He was unafraid to attack the basket, shot well, led the team in scoring. Just looked like everything you want a superstar player to be. He played great. And the thing I loved about him, and I think Tunde will develop this as well. And I think Baylor fans were frustrated with VJ Edgecombe last year because I think it took him some time to develop. When Cam Carr had the ball, he knew he was the man. last night. Now you're playing UT Rio Grande Valley. We'll see if he does that against Washington Sunday. We'll see if he continues to play like that in Big 12 play. But at least last night, Cam Carr got the ball, and he was like, if he was on the defensive end, he was trying to outrun everybody in transition to the offensive end. If he's on the offensive end, he is like, if I've got a shot, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
And Baylor didn't really have an alpha like that last year until very late in the season when the light kind of came on for VJ. And it was like, oh, you're the alpha, right? It felt good. And that's what, by the way, that's why Koa Pete was so good too. It's that like, if I've got the ball and I've got a shot, it's mine.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And Cam Carr was that guy for Baylor. I hope he keeps it. He gets an A+ from me.
Yeah, I was so excited about like just watching him. And he literally, in a game where I came to see Tunde Yesufu, he stole the show.
Yes.
Like he stole the show. And there were a couple times too, which is super encouraging, where Baylor needed a stop and a basket, and he would take care of both.
Yes.
He would create the stop and then race to the other end of the floor and get the basket.
I went to the game with my parents, and I leaned over to my dad at one point and said, what I love about Cam Carr is every time he's getting the ball on defense, he's pushing it.
Yeah.
He is sprinting down the court, trying to make a transition bucket happen. And by the way, if let's say Baylor doesn't get Joslin Bodo back, and you're going to ride this like all guards and wings and occasionally Caden Powell rotation, which is scary to me because it's too much like last season.
Yeah.
The way you're going to be able to beat teams is transition. It's going to be forcing turnovers on defense and turn those into easy buckets on the other end. And you've got the length and the speed and the athleticism across the board to do that this season.
Yeah.
And it starts with Cam Carr.
There you go. Scotty, you can check him out today on the Matt Mosley Show. I got one thing we're going to close with. I need 5 minutes on this topic, and Scotty's not prepared for it, and it doesn't matter. So I've been watching on Hulu, and I was going to bring this up to Michelle Beadle because I'm always curious to see, like, because I think she's kind of dialed into pop culture and stuff. But I've been watching on Hulu A Death in the Family, the Murdaugh story. Murdaugh, Alec Murdaugh, whatever. I was working in local news when this shit happened, and nobody could. I heard the name 150 different. I heard Alec, Murdaugh, whatever. You know who I'm talking about, right? What a crazy ass story. I can tell you, having watched, and I actually was up so late last night. The Hulu, like, it's what do they call it? Like historical fiction almost. Like they say at the beginning, hey, like, some stuff is enhanced for the broadcast television side of it, but this is all true. What the Hulu show does a magnificent job of doing is turning the Alec Murdaugh character into it's spellbinding. He is turned into like a Tony Soprano anti-hero. Like he is the patriarch of his family. Ultimately, his dad and his older brother kind of lord over him. But he's the patriarch of his immediate family, no question about it. And he kind of rules with an iron fist. He's unpredictable. He's super shady, like out of control, bad guy. But you sort of root for him in a weird way because he has this charm and this charisma, and he's just up to no good. And you're almost like, it's almost like that show, like I Almost Didn't Get Caught, or I Almost Got Away with It, if you remember that, where you would watch, remember, Liz? And you'd always cheer for the person to get away with it, but they'd always get caught. Like, I find myself like, I got skin in the game rooting for this loser, right? Watching the fictitious portion of this. Or, they might tell you it's nonfiction, but whatever. It's based on a podcast about the story. I believe that the Hulu show is very, very close to what happened. But and I'm going to use this word, and I apologize. The real Alex Murdaugh was a huge pussy. Okay, like I've watched the documentaries. Everything I've seen about this guy is like soft as Pillsbury Doughboy from the outside all the way in, right? And a real bad guy, a bad guy. The Hulu thing is not real life in a sense where this guy is Tony Soprano in the Hulu one. But in real life, he's just a complete wimp, drug addict loser, right? Who is entitled and is just taking advantage of every situation and manipulating every situation. You want to talk about, your white privilege. Like there's a ton of that in there, and it's just like the guy was a complete joker / bad guy. The guy on Hulu is actually fun to watch and to root for. And I found myself really, really kind of messed up by this because the Hulu show is very compelling. Patricia Arquette is amazing. This family was so screwed up, but it's almost like a real life White Lotus. That's what it feels like. It feels like the Hulu version of this feels like a real life White Lotus, because part of the show, I mean, this kid's being indicted for killing his friend, for driving a boat drunk. Everybody's trying to get him out of it. Everybody on the Murdoch side of it. Alex is like spiraling in like prescription drug addiction, and the family decides it'd be a great idea to go to Jamaica. And like right in the middle of this. And the guy pays, they showed it on the Hulu show, he pays $70,000 for his family to have this 6-day, 4 or 5 day excursion. And we come to find it's with other people's money because he's taking settlements that people are getting, and he is stealing them, right? And it's like, what a tangled web people can weave, dude. I would recommend watching the Hulu show. If you watch that before the Netflix documentary, you're going to be disappointed when you see like how much of a loser this main character is in the Hulu show. But the guy who plays him is the guy who plays Jerry West in Winning Time, the HBO documentary, or not documentary, the HBO series based on Jeff Pearlman's book. But like, so sometimes I see him, I'm like, oh, look at Jerry West. He's like got this wacky family, because there are a couple times where he's in character as Alex Murdaugh, just as much of a prick as he was Jerry West in Winning Time. There's one point, and if you've seen this, you know what I'm talking about, where the guy says something. He's talking to his kid because he's doing everything he can to make his kids happy. And this family, they just throw money at every problem. And they're on this excursion, and it's this lavish vacation in the eye of this devastating family hurricane. And this kid, Paul, who has murdered someone, basically, like manslaughter, you could say. And, he is overcome with guilt about this. So, of course, the kid's acting like a complete ass because he's so screwed up. And his dad is like, it's too much for you just to smile and have a good effing time, isn't it? Like, it's just like, and you kind of like are like, wow, this guy is such an asshole. But I would recommend it. I recommend the Hulu show. Like, it's very, very good. I can't believe how taken with it I am. But it's also interesting how they create this character, this anti-hero who, again, you could compare to a Tony Soprano. But in real life, the guy was just a complete loser, wuss. And just because you say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and open the door for somebody does not mean you're a good person, And that's what – you agree, Liz? Oh, yeah. Liz agrees. All right. So that's it. I said that the P word. I apologize. We're presented by Slovacics. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be awesome. We have Rich Podolsky on, who's going to talk to us about his new John Madden and Pat Summerall book. I've mentioned I read Rich's book. I didn't read it. I listened to it about the NFL Today show. It was probably I've listened to it more than once, and I can't wait to hear what he has to say about the Madden and Summerall book that's coming out. I heard him interviewed on Mad Dog Russo. I mentioned this yesterday. He was on for like an hour. We won't get him for that long. But the one thing that Mad Dog did not get into as much that we will get into tomorrow, Pat Summerall was a hopeless alcoholic and eventually did get sober. So, that's right in my wheelhouse. But like literally, Pat Summerall was calling games with Tom Brookshire. They would land in the city where they were going to call the game and would drink the whole time up until they got back home to wherever they were going. So you're talking like Thursday to Sunday night bender every weekend. And, eventually it killed Summerall because he died of a brain disease that doctors believe was created by his, abuse of alcohol, even though he was sober when he died. So I can't wait to talk to Rich about all that and more. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics. Thank you so much to Chris Visser. Thank you so much to Scotty Swingler. What does Mosley say? Thank you to Slovacics. We love what you do. Thank you to First National Bank of Central Texas. Thank you to Socorro Family Ford for putting people on the road. We love what you do. And Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. Cheers. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Show. Sports.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.